today is finally the day we're gonna do a Holley Sniper EFI swap on my Bronco. It's something I've been wanting to do for a really long time. I finally got everything I need, so let's go over to the bench and check out what we got. For starters, we have the whole Holley Sniper EFI kit. I got this off Marketplace a few weeks ago for a really good deal. We have the Holley Sniper EFI, we have the high pressure fuel pump, the 3-inch display screen, the O2 sensor, we have a tack adapter. I don't think I'll use this, I'll explain that in a little bit. And we also have the Holley Hyper Spark ignition system with its distributor, its coil, and the Hyper Spark module. I got this for a really good deal. It was on Facebook Marketplace. It came out of a 351 Bronco. It was actually a giveaway Bronco. The company who built the giveaway truck actually had Holley come out and tune this whole setup for a 351 Bronco at my altitude, which is super cool. So it is self-learning, but it should have a lot more advancements with that custom tune from Holley. With all this, let's go over the accessories that we need to get this installed. So obviously for starters, we have to convert this back to kind of a carbureted setup. So I got this carbureted intake manifold for my buddy. This actually came off the engine I gave him for free, and he gave me this back. So shout out to Lance for the intake manifold, and shout out to Chad for giving us this whole engine and intake setup. And since we're going for an old school carbureted look, I decided to get some old school valve covers. These are chrome. They'll match the EFI and the air cleaner really nicely. I also got some PCV breathers for them. So then moving on to our fueling upgrades, the Holley Sniper has 6AN fittings, so I'm going to convert my whole fuel system to 6AN line. I have some Evil Energy hose here, and then a few different adapter connections. I have some bulkheads that I'll put down by the fuel tank. We'll show that in a little bit. And then I also have these connectors that go from quick disconnect to 6AN. So this should clip into the top of my fuel pump and then give me an AN fitting after that. And then moving over here, we just have some gaskets, intake manifold, valve cover gaskets, and then a few miscellaneous items. I have some soft jaws for my vise so I can build those AN lines. I have a little speedometer cover because my speedometer hasn't worked in this thing, so this is a plug for my MP205, so I don't have a hole in there. And since the Holley Sniper comes with a 3-inch display, that'll give me a lot of information, more than my gauge cluster will. I'm gonna just stick this to my gauge cluster. It'll give me RPM and a bunch of other factors that'll be really nice to have right on the display. Since I'm already sticking this to the gauge and I don't have a functioning speedometer, I bought this GPS speedometer that I'm just gonna stick right onto my gauge cluster as well, so I'll have these two screens giving me all the information I need. All right, so for today, we're going to be getting rid of all this old, outdated EFI stuff in the engine. We haven't even gotten crazy far and he already looks so much better. Started pulling back some of the harness. Obviously got the intake off, got the throttle off, a few vacuum lines. Just trying to get the little things, the little satisfying things. Our pile's right here. Let's see how much we can stack up in just a little bit of time. It's looking like a real small block in there now. Still got a lot of shit to delete. Fuel rails, obviously this whole intake, but then all this side, harnesses. I'm gonna keep the AC, unless it's like not charged, then I might just get out of the way for now, to be honest.
That might be a good idea.
Yeah, don't go crazy on the deleting it, but
yeah, obviously, but like maybe just help simplify the process a little bit, I guess.
Alrighty, I can't remember how much was really filmed. Cole and I just kind of started getting into things. We really like deleting things and pulling things off, so we just fell down the rabbit hole and started yanking so much shit out. It was so nice. So we actually took a lot more stuff out than we really needed. We took out the AC lines and the AC compressor just so we could see more in this engine bay on what we have to do. Took the battery and battery tray out. It was really corroded. I want to get it painted. And we took the washer fluid and coolant reservoir out because the bracket attached to that had the intake parts on here, which we don't need anymore. So we're gonna find a different way to mount that. But now we are going to push the thing back outside since we still have the intake manifold on and the engine's still pretty mostly sealed up. I duct taped the center plenum. We're going to pressure wash this engine bay and clean it up quite a bit so we have a nice clean slate to work with. Let's get this thing yanked outside and do some pressure washing at almost 11 o'clock at night.
Tomorrow.
Alrighty, here's the next morning. This thing got to sit and dry. She turned out really good. Cleaned up really nice. Before we dive into anything up here, I would like to kind of dive into the fuel system, get the fuel tank out, rip out all the factory fuel lines. There's a few things we got to figure out on that. There's still some things I also want to figure out in the engine bay. Like for example, we have this harness coming off the firewall that has a vacuum line and 3 connectors. I'm not really sure what this is for. There's also the smog pump back there that I need to fully pull off, and also the smog pump itself that I need to yank off. You got the last of the smog pump stuff off. As you can tell, this thing hasn't done much in a while. I also got the old alternator and smog pump out. So everything up here that we can pull is pulled. So now we gotta bring this thing up on the lift, disconnect all the fuel lines and some evap stuff. All right, we got the Bronco up in the air. We're gonna siphon the fuel out. My normal siphon hose isn't gonna work. It's too short, so hopefully we can do it with just a normal fuel line. Let's see what happens.
Dude, it's even like if we just had something that we could suck on that would fill up with gas before our lips. You know what I'm saying?
Can we slide the clear tube over the...
I don't think it would seal it, though. Oh, no. Just so we could be like, oh Lord, it's coming. You know what I'm saying?
Fuck, that's kind of... If we can get it in there...
You might go.
Yes.
Oh shit. Alright, dude. Okay, so let's suck on it.
Sucking, dude.
And as soon as, you're gonna have to go through your nose and get back. I think that's the only way it's gonna work. Whoa! There it is. Oh. Nice.
Thanks for warning me, because I did not see that coming.
Nice.
That works.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, I'm just gonna start getting after it, taking all these fuel lines out. It's kind of a mess up here because I've dropped this tank a few times. And I got even more of a disaster up here, just trying to get my Bronco to go places. It'll be very nice to clean up this entire frame rail. And while I'm down here, I'm going to get rid of this speedometer cable that just falls out sometimes and cap it so I don't have to worry about it leaking gear oil anymore. So, let's do it. Alrighty, we just got done taking all the fuel lines off of the frame, got the fuel tank out. Let's go under there, show you what's up. So not only did we take all the existing fuel lines out, we also took the brackets out for the inline fuel pump and the inline fuel filter. So there's a lot more real estate on this entire frame rail. So it should be really, really easy to put 2 little 6 AM lines across this whole thing. Really excited to start on that. But before we do that, Dilly showed up. I was showing him everything inside the engine bay, and he wants to take one of the valve covers off and see what it's like inside. So we're gonna do that. Alrighty, these don't look too shabby at all. Looks like an old motor, but it is an old motor, so. Very nice. Alrighty y'all, that's gonna be it for this weekend. Fortunately, we ran out of time. I was hoping to make a little bit more progress this weekend. My plan was to disassemble everything and run the AAM lines, but I did realize I need a lot more parts to run these AAM lines the way I want them to, and I want to kind of upgrade the fueling system versus what came with the Holley kit. But either way, a very successful weekend. We simplified the Bronco so much. Everything's nice and clean. We have a giant pile of parts that we removed out of this thing, which is very, very satisfying. Next weekend, we will be running all the AN lines from the fuel tank back up, installing the new intake manifold, distributor, and as much of the Holley components as we can. Possibly start it, but I'm not gonna get my hopes up. So, with that being said, thank you guys for watching. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.